Welcome to White Sox baseball tonight. Game number 2 from the South Side against the defending champion Houston Astros after a big win last night for the visitors. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and we have a great pitching matchup tonight. A former Cy Young winner for Houston against Lucas Giolito for the Sox, somebody who hopes to get there one day.
Dallas Keuchel is a very good pitcher. We got off to a tough start this year, but last time out, all was in evidence, his skills and the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately for the Mariners, Keuchel was on his game. His sinker was sinking. The fastball was cutting off the outside corner. He threw the curveball. He got everything over the plate, and when he's at his best, he's awfully good. Lucas Giolito on the other side of the equation has started off slowly. He hasn't had the curveball, and despite that, hitters aren't hitting him very well, but he's walking too many guys. He can feel his fingers tonight. Should be a good night for him against a red-hot ball club. This Houston team is awfully good. And Lucas, look at last year, look at this year. Last year, 3-3, 2.38 ERA. This year, off to a slow start at 5.50. Look at batting average against at the bottom. 2.03 this season, 190 last year. Not much of a disparity, but the fact is 12 walks last year, 12 walks already this year. I think he's going to be a lot better today because that stuff we saw in spring training, we're going to see tonight. It's a nice night to pitch.
Well, you mentioned the Sox opponent tonight, Dallas Keuchel, is somebody who's pitched very well in history and in his last start, but the Sox have some guys who've done well against him.
They got a couple of right-handers that have really done him a lot of damage, and Jose Abreu hits just about everybody, so it's no surprise. Abreu, 6 for 15. He's hit a couple of home runs, driven in 3. Avi, 7 for 17. He's driven in 4. You look at the commensurate numbers, and hopefully tonight they can carry the load. Hopefully tonight the table setters can set the table. Last night against Justin Verlander, they did nothing. Hopefully tonight, better things await.
Sox trying to take game number 2 of this series. It is guaranteed rate quarter zip night. Nice giveaway in the somewhat chilly weather still. And after the break, we'll give you an update on Danny Farquhar, who collapsed during the game yesterday. We'll tell you about Danny's condition when we come back.
White Sox baseball is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive a Hyundai today. Xfinity has the largest gig speed network, serving more homes than anyone else. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. Wintrust, home of Sox checking and debit cards. Open an account today at wintrust.com/Sox. And by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional offers on select Audi models.
however, last night. Danny Farquhar, Sox relief pitcher, 31 years old, finished his half inning, and then when he came off the field, had a headache, which eventually turned into him collapsing in the dugout. The EMTs rushed very quickly to his side, and Danny Farquhar was brought to Rush University Medical Center. And the report, the update today, is that it was a brain hemorrhage that he suffered during the 6th inning. Additional overnight testing at Rush University Medical Center revealed a ruptured aneurysm caused the brain bleed. So Danny Farquhar is currently stable but in critical condition in the neurosurgical ICU unit at Rush and continues to receive treatment and close monitoring from Dr. Demetrius Lopez and the neurosurgical team. That's the update on Danny Farquhar. There are a lot of heavy hearts in the White Sox clubhouse right now, and a lot of thought on everything but baseball. The game will be played, and here are the thoughts from Sox skipper Ricky Renteria on Danny Farquhar and why the game will be played.
It's one of those things where all these young men become very, very close. We become very close with them. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and you know, we're hoping for the best. I think everybody will be able to hopefully compartmentalize. I think that we keep him in our mind. As I said to them, I know he would want to come out here and, you know, keep getting after it, and I told him to just think in positive terms about him and come out and do what he would do and just, you know, keep going about your business. And you don't lose sight of the reality of the circumstance and the situation in which he's in, but these men know that if anything, they can go out there and show them that they're thinking about him by the way they go about doing their business today.
And for you at home, Danny and his wife Lexi have 3 kids, Madison, Landon, and Liam, and however you provide energy, whether it be prayer or thought or whatever it might be through the cosmos, send it to Danny and to Lexi and to Madison and to Landon and Liam tonight as you're watching the ball game. Sox and Astros, game number 2 coming up. Delivering the fastest internet and best in-home Wi-Fi experience. Call or visit an Xfinity store today. And here is the lineup for A.J. Hinch and his Houston Astros, who put up 10 runs yesterday in game number 1 of this series on 13 hits. Springer at the top was very damaging with 4 driven in. Then Altuve, Correa had 2 home runs. Mostly the same lineup. Evan Gattis is in as the DH. Derek Fisher is out.
Let's take a look at the defense, and how they're going to line up. Trace Thompson in the lineup tonight with Adam Engel and Abisail Garcia left to right. And then it's Sanchez, Anderson, Moncada, and Abreu. Wellington Castillo gets a nod behind the plate, and Lucas Giolito on the hill. Lucas off to a tough start, but if there is any mechanical flaw, Don Cooper is the best in the business at spotting it. There you see the numbers. They're not pretty, but the batting average against it just .203. That shows that the stuff is still good. The location is not. He hopes to route it tonight, and we'll take a look at the umpires for the game tonight. Andy Fletcher has a plate. Manny Gonzalez at first, Jeff Nelson at second, and Laz Diaz is at third. We're ready to play baseball. Jason, take it away.
As you're watching the game tonight, if you're so inclined to do such a thing with Danny musical, maybe listen to Hamilton while you're watching. This game being for Danny Farquhar, and our thoughts to him and his family. But we will play baseball tonight, and the Sox will play for Danny and try to win one this evening against Houston. George Springer to left field, and this ball hits the top of the fence and comes back. So Springer with a leadoff double.
That one just missed going out of the ballpark, and Thompson had no chance. It was a line drive rocket. So Springer, with 4 and 16 on the power numbers coming in, hit a couple of doubles, drove in 4 runs last night, and picks on a first ball fastball. Hits the daylights out of it. Unlimited upside for this young man who has done so much early in his career and will do a whole lot more for Houston. There you see it, high off the wall. They carry him back in, and Trace has to go get it. Meanwhile, an ominous way to begin the ball game.
Third extra base hit already for George Springer in this series, and now Jose Altuve is the batter. The Astros at 14 and 7, now leading the Angels by a half game in the division. Sox 4 and 12 coming in.
When you're a former MVP, and Altuve is that, many times you get a chance to swing away. But we'll have to see if Altuve goes to the right side. I would be thinking he would try at least, and sometimes trying to do the right thing turns into a line drive. Altuve is a special player in every aspect of the game.
He's ahead 2-0. Base hit yesterday for Altuve. Came out late in the game. Jake Marisnick replaced him in that 2 spot, but 337 hitter to start this year through the first 3 weeks worth of games. So 3 balls and no strikes. And here's a look at the jersey of Danny Farquhar, number 43, hanging in the dugout for the Sox. And you can't help but realize when you're talking to the players downstairs during batting practice and the staff that the focus is going to be a little bit split, as it should be, as there's ball 4. Altuve takes a walk, 2 on, nobody out here in the first. Your 2018 Chicago White Sox, presented by Guaranteed Rate, your home team throughout the season and the official mortgage provider of the Chicago White Sox. Get started today at rate.com. Renteria in the dugout, and you heard his thoughts before the game as Carlos Correa comes up. Springer at second, Altuve at first, and this Houston offense came in about middle of the pack in Major League Baseball in terms of batting average, but they have so many horses in this lineup, you figure that's going to be on an upturn soon.
Well, there's no doubt that this team is underperforming offensively. That's the only area they're underperforming in, and they are going to hit. This is a loaded lineup, and they're going to soon start to show it to hitters around the league, pitchers around the league also.
Well, Correa provided some thunder last night with a couple of home runs. Correa just 23 years old, like Giolito. 2 guys that figured to be around for quite a while in the American League. Ball and a strike on Correa. And Giolito, in his career, has been quite good in the first couple of innings. This is out of the ordinary for him to have even base runners on in the first.
Well, that was a good straight change, and that bodes well. He got it over the plate. Correa, by the way, is grounded into 4 double plays. That leads the team in that dubious department, and a 5th would be welcome here.
There's strike 2. We were telling you about Giolito and his success in the first 2 innings. A whip, walks and hits per inning of .71, and then you get 3 and beyond, and that's where the numbers have grown historically in his very short time in the majors. He's ahead of Correa on 1 and 2.
That was a nice stop. Wellington moving to his right, able to smother that breaking ball that swept wide of the plate. This is a big play because the double play is still in order, and if they turn to, because of this. Wellington does a nice job. The ball caroms back into the chest protector. This is not an easy play to make, and he made it look easy.
Two balls, two strikes. That misses now 3-2. You may remember Giolito in his last start that came against Minnesota quite a while ago, 9 days ago. He allowed a hit and a walk in the first inning and got a double play ball from Eddie Rosario. So there was some trouble to surf through in that last start in the first as well.
I do remember that Rosario hit the daylights out of that one. Unfortunately, it went to Abreu.
Three balls, two strikes. Runners go. This one is into center field. Springer comes home. Altuve to third, and the Astros have a run before an out here in the first inning.
Shows you how accomplished Correa is as a run producer. He went upstairs and took that one into center field. Runners going. He battles off this high fastball, able to get on top of it, hit a line drive where a lot of other hitters would have hit a pop-up. He pulled his hands in somewhat, so the good part of the bat got the good part of the ball. And just like that, without anybody retired, it is 1-0 on the 18th, driven in by Correa.
It's the team lead for Houston in terms of runs driven in, and Reddick now, who's in double figures as well in that category. Giolito fighting his command here in the first.
This has been a recurring saga. It was 53 degrees at game time. Not ideal, but a lot better than it's been for Lucas. He's having command issues once again.
His start at home against the Tigers, it was 32 degrees. Then in Minneapolis, 45 degrees. And that opening start in Kansas City, which was frigid as well, was 45-2. Two and 0 for Reddick. See anything mechanical?
Right now, it seemed like he's trying to overthrow a bit. I think you hit it right on the head when he said he's fighting himself. It's not only a physical battle, it's one of emotional battle, and perhaps they might have to bring Don Cooper out if he doesn't get Reddick. You don't want to let this game slip away in the first inning. This Houston team is too tough, and so is Keuchel.
Way upstairs, ball 4. And Giolito looks to center field for some answers. And Don Cooper is going to come out and talk to his young starting pitcher.
2 trips to the mound in the first inning doesn't make it easy the rest of the way to correct anything. But Don Cooper realizes this is the important trip to the mound. Wellington and the infield went out the first time. Now Don comes out, and normally when he does, he just picks out one thing he wants to impart and said, okay, you can't do anything about the run or the loaded bases. What you can do is throw a ground ball here to Gurriel, who doesn't have good speed, and you can turn 2 and make this a positive inning. Sometimes pitching coach will say, look, let me take the pressure off you. Don't worry about those guys at first and second. Get somebody out. Get the next hitter out. Don't worry about the guys that you haven't gotten out to this point. Sometimes you concede the run at third and second, depending on the situation. By concede, I mean in your own mind. If they don't score, it's a plus. If they do score, it's expected. You take the pressure off the pitcher, which is what Don Cooper is trying to do with that visit.
The idea being just take the runners out of your mind.
Yeah, just go get them, because you can't do anything about the 1 run or the 3 others that are on base.
Pop up this time into right field. Avi on the run, and he does get there. Altuve's coming home. The throw is not in time.
It's a heads-up base runner by the former MVP, and the reason why it's heads up is he knew that Avi would have to take a couple of steps. He also knew Avi was going to his left, meaning as a right-handed thrower, he couldn't right himself to make a good solid throw. So Avi got under the throw. Now watch. We'll watch him catch it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps and throwing across his body with an angle that was down, and a heads-up base runner beats the play rather easily at the plate.
When you said Altuve is good in every facet of the game, that's the type of thing that leads you down that path.
There's a whole lot of other guys that would have said, okay, short fly ball, I can't score, but Altuve took into consideration going toward the line away from the throw and the amount of steps he was going to take before he delivered it.
It's nuance and understanding of what he's seeing as Bregman takes a ball up and in. Alex Bregman is 24 years old, one of the young building blocks for the Astros. Correa's 23, Bregman 24, Altuve 27, and George Springer at age 28 at the top of the card. It's in there for a strike, and at least in terms of demeanor, Giolito seems like he slowed things down a little bit since the trip by Don Cooper.
Yeah, I think that many times what happens to young players, the game in every aspect moves very quickly for them as opposed to the veteran who's able to slow things down. It's the same game seen from a different perception.
This is through the left side. Trace Thompson is up with it quickly, so Correa freezes at third. The bases are loaded, 1 out here in inning number 1.
Nice play by Trace. He got to it quickly. At first, looked like a run would score, but then Thompson charging aggressively, got the throw in, and it left the bases loaded. Still, with a double play scenario for a guy that can't run very well, and that's McCann. Yet he has not grounded into a double play this year because his launch angle means he most likely is going to hit a pop-up or a fly ball. He's been that kind of hitter since he came into the league.
The good news is that means the numbers suggest one's coming at some point.
I would say if he's ever due for a double play ground ball, it would be here.
How about nowish?
It would be good.
Pitch number 21 for Lucas is a little bit high.
When you've hit 11 grand slams, that's getting it done.
Like to keep it there.
A little livelier tonight at the ballpark because the wind is not so much. What wind there is blowing to the corner.
There are the principals in this story. Correa, Reddick, and Bregman. Bases loaded for Houston in the first, a team that had a 4-run inning last night. That was in the 6th, and a 5-run inning in the 4th. One-two. Popped up. Foul ground. Wellington and Yolmer. And Sanchez is there. Giolito was over to cover the plate just in case Correa got frisky at third. 2 down.
Much easier play for Yolmer. He goes over, calls off Castillo, and then Castillo with the presence of mind to look back toward the plate. As soon as it's caught, he went, Lucas, there. No advancement.
So bases loaded, 2 down, and the story of the season for Lucas Giolito has been when your stuff isn't exactly what you want, get through.
That's what he's done. That's why hitters are hitting just 203 against him coming in. But this is a very difficult team to struggle against because you look up and down this lineup, you can't find any soft spots. I mean, Gonzalez is off to a slow start, but he's going to hit 270 before this season is over. There is A.J. Hinch, fine skipper of these Houston Astros. We'll tell you a little bit about his perception of his first go-round with the Arizona Diamondbacks when he was just 34 years old. Those days are long gone. He is a wonderful manager these days.
He's the new breed of manager who both understands the front office and sitting on the bench and writing out the lineup card every day.
He was in the front office with the Diamondbacks and did a nice job of it, and he understands player development. He understands the tender psyche of young baseball players down through the system. Yet he also was a major league catcher, and I believe out of Stanford, you usually get a pretty good education, those boys do.
Yeah. And a great baseball education too. Mark Marquis, who was there for a long time, was a tremendous baseball coach, churning out scores of Major League Baseball players.
Second, I believe, only to Kent State as far as volume is concerned.
I was nodding halfway through that sentence. I thought you were going to go to one of the major powerhouses in college baseball, and you did.
I did. There will always be a soft spot in the hearts of White Sox fans for Dustin Hermanson. First round pick, third pick overall out of Kent State University.
There's a chance Dustin Hermanson may come up later in our telecast.
You're kidding. That would be foreshadowing.
It certainly would. Breaking ball. What's that?
It's an old bit. Certainly would, Ollie.
Oh, yeah. Before my time.
Well, like Wynn Griffiths. He's not before your time, and he's right back up there.
He's one of our cameramen. He's very good.
Yes.
Bet Wooden didn't think that his name was going to get called in the first inning today. 1-2 on Gonzalez. Up and out. Nice catch by Castillo. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Okay, so you come out of the bullpen and you know that you don't have what you want to have. What do?
You go under the hitting zone. And maybe that's what Lucas is doing. That fastball was 91 miles an hour and appeared that he threw it pretty hard, but perhaps he is taking a little something off to try to get it over the plate. You'll always get more hitters out taking something off than you will putting something on.
Time called. $16 out of the zone, 13 in the zone for Giolito. 29 total this half inning. But a chance to get out of it with only 2 runs on the scoreboard. 2-2. Chopped foul. So double walk, single walk, sac fly, single, foul pop out, the anatomy of this first inning so far. Two balls, 2 strikes. In the air, right center field. Angle going back on it. Adam can't get there, and one hops over the fence, and a couple will score on the double for Marwin Gonzalez. Bregman's going to have to go back to third. It's 4-0 Houston.
That one hit on a straight change where Gonzalez was able to stay back long enough where he could put a charge into it. Take a look at this again. He reads the straight change, catches it off the end part of the bat, and yet we told you the ballpark was livelier tonight than it's been. And this is evidence. Engel with great speed, he couldn't catch up to this, and Gonzalez hit off the end of the bat and took it 1 hop out of the ballpark. So a good piece of hitting by Gonzalez. He's now driven in 9, and a tough first inning for Lucas.
1 pitch away from getting out of it, and instead 2 more runs up for Houston with Evan Gaddis, the 9th batter, coming up. There's a strike at the low portion of the zone to Gaddis, who came in late in yesterday's game. This park has played as quite a range in terms of the ball carrying the first 2 homestands of the year.
Well, last night, despite the fact that it was a 10-0 game, last night the ball was not lively, not near as lively as it is now, and maybe it's an hour earlier. That has something to do with it. But whatever it is, the wind, not that much of a factor, but it is blowing toward the right field corner. And it probably aided that fly ball. Still, he hit the daylights out of it. And there you see the wind, which will pick up and then die down a bit. The capricious winds of Chicago.
Giolito dots the strike zone, 1 and 2. What makes them capricious?
The fact that you never really know if they're going to be blowing quite stiffly or not at all, or which way. Even though they start one way, then they swirl. That's what makes them capricious.
I thought they might have burned you in a business deal.
They might have done that also. I had a wind farm. Went out of business.
Oh, nice catch. Throw to third is not in time. Wellington Castillo just saved a run.
Oh, terrific play. And then he threw to third base, but Yolmer had no idea that Wellington was going to go down there, so he stayed back. He did not charge, as you would expect. Good pick. That's just, looks like a hockey goalie going to his right and then fires to third. However, Yolmer cannot get to the bag in time. So heads up play, but it goes for naught.
2-2. Gaddis to left field. Trace Thompson, foul territory, is there to make the catch. So no more damage done. However, Houston grabs 4 in the first. Tim Anderson will lead it off after this. Year against the left-hander Dallas Keuchel, then Garcia and Abreu. Castillo jumps ahead of Davidson. Moncada in the 6th spot, and Trace Thompson gets his first White Sox start since 2015, followed by Sanchez and Engel.
Let's take a look at the defense as we go left to right with Gonzalez, Springer, and Reddick in the outfield. Bregman, Correa, Altuve, and Gurriel in the infield with McCann behind the plate and Dallas Keuchel on the hill. Keuchel started out slowly this year, but last time out he was very good. Despite being 0-3 in 4 starts, you look at those numbers, they're not bad. He will get considerably better. He is a quality pitcher. He rediscovered the sinker last time out. He does throw a curveball, has a changeup to go with it. Normally he throws a lot of ground balls when he's right. That's why you want to try to get him in the first inning or 2, because they turn into line drives.
Tim Anderson faces him first. This is game number 82 for him. Career in the number 1 spot. And here's Ricky Renteria on why Tim's there.
Try to see if we can get take advantage of his at-bats against the lefties today. Try to get him as many at-bats as we possibly can up there. He's doing very well. Try to give Monkey a little break by moving him down in the slot. And I think we'll continue to make adjustments. We still like Monkey at the leadoff spot. This has more to do with me trying to take advantage of Timmy's at-bats against the lefties as much as I possibly can today.
Ah, isn't it fun when that works out? Tim Anderson with a double down the line to lead it off.
Well, Anderson against left-handers hitting .308 this year, and that's one of the reasons why Ricky, looking at the stats, figured he was best served at the top where he can get a few more at-bats against Keuchel. Started off perfectly, taking it by Bregman.
Career OPS for Tim Anderson, that's on base plus slugging, versus lefties 822 versus righties 665.
And right there he showed you exactly why that is.
So now Avi, who was 0 for 3 in the game yesterday, Sox only pounded out a couple of hits against Justin Verlander, who, by the way, was a little displeased with Tim Anderson yesterday in this situation. Tim stole third base against Verlander, and Verlander was frustrated because it was 5-0, and one of those baseball rules says you can't steal third.
Yeah, that's a good one. But he play this game as hard as you can, whenever you can. And you know what? Justin's a wonderful pitcher. If he doesn't like it, that's sad. But it's not going to stop Tim from running. And it shouldn't.
No, it might motivate him to run more.
Now, if they're not holding you, and it's 10-0 in the 8th inning, you can make a case for not running. If they are holding you, well, then you're fair game.
Yeah, it was 5-0 at the time.
I mean, that's
middle of the game.
In baseball today, 5-0 is nothing. We've seen that erased many times in just one inning, let alone the rest of the game to play it out. So you got to play for each and every run. Each and every run is valuable. And you know what? Everybody has an opinion.
Time called, especially as you look at that situation, you take into account that Ricky Renteria is trying to instill foundational values in this organization that trickle down to the minors as well, and that aggressiveness on the base path we've seen this year with the Sox in the upper crust of Major League Baseball in stolen bases.
Tim Anderson leading the parade, so he's got the green light whenever he goes. It's not on a signal. He probably has a don't run sign, but as far as when you want to go, Anderson can pretty much go when he wants to. He's 8 for 8 in stolen bases, so I think he's doing it pretty well, and Tim, keep on doing it.
The only person in Major League Baseball who has more stolen bases than Tim Anderson is D. Gordon with 9 for Seattle. That's coming into play today. Three and 2. Chopped foul by Avi. Dallas Keuchel finally has runs backing him. Look at this. 1 or fewer runs of support to start the season. Dallas Keuchel, 4 starts like that already. 4 in a row. That'll drive you nuts, huh?
After a long period of time it will, but he's not going to worry about that too much because he's going to get a lot of runs from these boys.
Strike 3 upstairs. Keuchel fans Garcia, 1 down for Jose Abreu.
This is a tough matchup for Dallas Keuchel. Not the Avi matchup. The Abreu matchup is look at a high fastball. When a sinker baller goes up high, it's really difficult for the hitter to lay off because you don't expect it. You expect your sight line to be down and most likely away. High fastball did him in.
Abreu takes outside, ball 1. Now, as we were talking about Tim at second base, the play going to third ended up being the out on the throw by Verlander. So Verlander eventually gets what he wants out of the situation. But Tim had been running to second base on a walk prior, so there were a couple times that Tim was being aggressive. But again, it's the same situation. The decision is the one that Ricky Renteria certainly stands by.
Ricky wants each and every one of these guys to play as aggressively as he can throughout the game. He preaches 27 outs, and that's not a suggestion.
Left-hand side, Bregman is over, and he unwittingly didn't really want to be part of the play. He was waiting for Correa to call him off, and he never did. And Bregman fought with the ball the whole time.
Goes as no play. The wind is taking this ball back toward the field of play. Normally an easier play for a shortstop, but Correa can't get there because he's playing up the middle. And Bregman shifting with it. No chance at all for Gonzalez to get there. So it's Bregman against the world, and the world wins.
Major League Baseball is going to have to get a ski mask deal with somebody for as many as we've seen around baseball to start this year. My goodness. 2-1.
Well, at first you would say that, well, it started a week earlier this year. Well, that would be all well and good because it did, but it's the 21st of April, and the ski masks are still out around baseball.
Dear Mother Nature, get real. Two and two on Jose. It's outside. 3-2. Wellington Castillo next. There is bubblegum aficionado Wellington Castillo.
Jose's hitting .333 against all lefties this year, so he's no stranger to them, and he likes what he sees most of the time.
Called strike 3. Oh boy.
Jose thought it was low and away. The camera will say that it just is a touch off the plate, but Andy Fletcher thought it was too close to take. McCann actually yanks it back in the strike zone. That wasn't subtle, but it got the strike.
With that, 2 out, and here's Castillo. He's coming off a 20 home run season last year, and this is the ground ball that Dallas Keuchel is known for. 6-3 on the out. Anderson stranded, and we'll play the second inning at a 4-0 score.
Double deals made for go-getters.
Go-to tonight is the blanket. That is, you get the bun just for cushion, I guess.
Well, look, he's starting early on the caloric intake, and he figures the bun is what? It turns to sugar when it goes into your stomach, so might as well eat the dog, which is great. And then you get more dogs without filling up on the bun. It's strategery. He's doing it very well.
If we go back to him and he's dipping the bun in water and is training for competitive eating.
That's Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a win.
Maybe Kobayashi.
Lucas Giolito looks like he's pretty frustrated right now.
Well, you can understand because the curveball was so good all spring and so good last year, and it's deserted him heading into this season.
Two 2-0 on Springer, who doubled in the first inning as Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria hope that Giolito can harness his command once again. That one clips the corner, 2-1.
It was a changeup, 80 miles an hour. He's lost a release point on both the fastball and the curveball, and that's really hard to overcome.
Where does your mind go between pitches when a day like today is happening?
You're trying to look for answers, but it's pretty hard for a young pitcher to find answers during the action of his profession, which is throwing the baseball. If you're looking for answers and you're a young pitcher at this point, it becomes doubly tough.
Inside, ball 4, walk number 3 for the Astros, and this is a group of players who will put together magnificent at-bats if given the opportunity, and they will wait Giolito out. So it's a leadoff walk.
And for Lucas, that's 15 walks in 19 innings. And nobody is more frustrated than he is at this point.
Inside, ball 1 to Altuve, who walked in the first and scored.
Even if you do have a base runner, and Springer doesn't have great base stealing abilities, although he can steal a base. I mean, he's fast enough to steal a base, but right now A.J. Hinch probably wanted to anchor him there and see if Lucas can get the ball over the plate. It's a fastball away. Let's see if he can get it there.
There it is, a strike, 1-1.
I think he's trying to sink it in and get the double play and a ground ball to the left side.
One stayed up, 2-1. You know, Lucas Giolito's end of the season last year was so good that you go into spring training and you almost think he's going to be one of the anchors of the rotation based on those starts. Not almost, that's what the thought was, and still certainly can be the case. You forget that he's 23 based on the performance he had at the end of last year.
Well, he had it all spring also. He was dominant this spring.
That's certainly not to say it's not in there, right? That assumption wasn't true, but there have been moments this season where he's fought himself, unlike we saw last year.
I still believe he's a top of the rotation pitcher. He just has lost something, and he will get it back. But the one thing you can't do is simulate major league innings under pressure, and that's what he's doing right now.
Called a strike, 3-2. Altuve gets yanked back.
It's a pretty good pitch. It had the bottom part of the zone, and Altuve dropped the bat. Umpires really don't like that a whole lot.
One of the top hitters in the game, Jose Altuve, with Springer at first. And a throw there from Lucas.
Not a bad idea, thinking maybe he's going to run. All of last year, Springer had just 5 stolen bases, so he is not a speed burner.
Ball 4, back-to-back walks, and Correa will bat with 2 on. Hey, join the White Sox Sunday, May 6th for Nurse Appreciation Day, presented by St. Xavier University. All Illinois nurses and their families and friends can enjoy a specially priced ticket package, including a game ticket and a White Sox scrub top for the first 1,500 fans. Visit whitesox.com/nurse or call 866-SOX-GAME. We showed you last night on our telecast what the Astros had done prior to their championship run of last year and how they built their farm system and when they turned the corner. And this series is really interesting for the Sox because in a lot of ways you're looking into the future as Here comes Don Cooper again. You're looking into the future in terms of what the Sox want to be and how the Sox want to do it in terms of development and a good trade here and there like the Astros have done, including, you know, it's interesting, they signed Yuli Gurriel, the Astros do, and he's well older than Yohan Moncada, but they are countrymen, and Gurriel is a guy who added that extra pop for them last season on the way to the championship.
Well, also it all goes hand in hand. The Sox are very lucky, and they're lucky to have the quality people they have in the front office under Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn and their staff, their evaluators, because when player development works hand in hand with your scouting department, you have a pretty good idea why you draft somebody, why you scout them, why you draft them. Then they come in, and understanding that, you develop them exactly the way the scouts envisioned they would be developed. And when they all get together and come to the major leagues, they're all on the same page, and everybody knows exactly what everybody's thinking in the organization. That's what the Sox are trying to do. They can see it with Houston. They can certainly see it with the north side of town, with the Cubs. They can see teams that were taken to the ground only to be built back up. And both of the aforementioned teams are really strong right now. Difference in the two, and there's a big difference. Houston did not empty out their farm system in their trades. They still have a very productive farm system. The Cubs did empty it out largely to our side of town with Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease specifically.
Got a chance to chat with Dylan Cease a couple of days ago down in Winston-Salem, and he's a very interesting guy. And as we hit the farm report later on and we show you Michael Kopech's start from last night in Indianapolis, quick note, you'll see a strikeout, one of his 10.
That's
from
surprising that he would strike anybody out.
Isn't it? We'll tell you about
they hit the ball.
Yeah, we'll tell you about Dylan Cease as well and what type of guy he is. 1-2 for Correa. Wellington tried to give Giolito the strike.
Sometimes what catchers will do is move out a little bit more. In other words, the outside corner, instead of just putting your glove there, they'll move a good portion of their body outside and put the glove with just the tip of the glove in the strike zone. So you're trying to buy 2 inches on the outside corner. If he hits the glove, you get the call.
3-2 on Correa. The on-deck hitter, Josh Reddick, who walked and scored in the first inning. A 4-run first for Houston. Team that's won 4 of 5 so far on this road trip. A 7-game swing to Seattle, and now here to play the Sox. Three balls, 2 strikes. See where Castillo sets up. Ball low. Bases loaded on walks here in the 2nd inning.
Well, you figure now that Don might come out to have a chat, or somebody might get up in the bullpen, because you would think that perhaps it's time to start loosening up somebody, as Lucas is just really fighting it. And there is the pen now. Looks like Chris Volstead starting to loosen up. He is former starter who can go multiple innings and showed very well in Oakland. I thought Chris threw the ball very well in his stint in Oakland.
He was important late in that game too. About midway through, he ended up throwing 3 1/3 as that ball's bashed to right field by Reddick, to right and gone. It's a grand slam for Josh Reddick, and it's 8-0 Houston.
There's an example of a veteran hitter taking advantage of a young pitcher, knowing that missing the strike zone consistently to 3 straight hitters, maybe he'll lay in a fastball. He didn't take it, he whacked it. And that's his 5th, and he's now driven in 14 runs. Watch it again. Lefties love it down and in, and Reddick no exception. He goes down, he golfs it out.
Yuli Gurriel. takes a strike.
So I was halfway to Sheboygan, and she said, "No, that's sorry, that's from the vaudeville days."
Uh-huh. On the ground to first, and Jose Abreu to Giolito for out number 1. Well, Lucas is a smart young man. He knows exactly what's going on with that first out. He hears the Bronx cheer, but Giolito's got a lot of good stuff that's coming, and this is one of those starts that every starting pitcher has had one of these over the course of time.
Many of them, not just one, many of them.
Here's Bregman. Alex Bregman, a former bat boy at the University of New Mexico. Grew up in Albuquerque and was the bat boy for the Lobos in the early 2000s.
He was a bat boy at LSU too, because nobody could get him out.
In the air to left, Thompson now has to come in for round number 2.
You pretty much tell which way the wind is blowing, because that one was hit pretty well, and Trace went back. He's a good outfielder, and then realized it hit the curtain of wind and it knocked it straight down.
Yeah, if you're going to hit it somewhere, hit it to right tonight.
Preferably our boys will start hitting it to right and right center, because that is the wind tunnel. We saw Gonzalez hit one off the end of the bat, and one hopped out of the wall to right center field, so it is lively that way. Now you're on the mound. You've given up 8. Odds are you yourself are not going to win that game. Now you start thinking about the bullpen, and all you think about is outs. And you break a tough task down to its simplest parts, and that is one pitch at a time. He doesn't have to beat the Astros. That's the biggest mistake young pitchers make. You don't go out with the intention of beating the Astros. All he has to do, and he can do this, is make one good pitch to George Springer. You make one good pitch to George Springer, then you make a second, and then you make a third. And that's, no, I'm talking about the start of the game. You don't have to beat the Astros. You have to make one good pitch to George Springer. If you can do that, then you concentrate and do it again and again and again. And you know, you're amazed when the game is over. You have broken a hole down to its simplest parts, and its simplest parts are one pitch at a time. That becomes your whole world. And if it's anything other than that, you're going to have a hard time doing it. So that's what young pitchers have to learn. That's why 23-year-olds most likely don't dominate in the major leagues, and Lucas is going through what most 23-year-olds went through.
Two balls, 2 strikes on McCann. Astros with 5 hits, 8 runs, 5 walks as well. 2 out in the second inning. And there is strike 3. Giolito gets 3 straight outs after the slam from Reddick. We'll play bottom 2 after this.
world-class transplant team, UI Health. Care is changing medicine for good. Visit uihealth.care. I was just mastering .com. Now I got to learn another one.
.care.
.care.
I think you should get that coat. Look good on you. That one too.
Is that the coat of many McCullers?
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I've been saving that one, and Houston finally came to town, so I decided to use it.
You and Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Exactly right.
Oh my goodness. Matt Davidson, who got the day off yesterday, takes a strike from Dallas Keuchel.
I'd like to send along best wishes to a great Sox fan. I want to talk him off the ledge. Jim Canatero looking in. Jim, it'll get better. I promise.
While you're doing that, our old friend Peter Sagal is watching the game tonight. We need to convert him to a White Sox fan from a Red Sox fan, but
right now it's good to be a Red Sox fan. They are stomping people in the East.
17-2. 17-2.
Not bad.
Outrageous.
Remind me of 1984 Detroit Tigers. They go 35-5 the first 40 games. They play 500 ball the rest of the way and decimate the division by 20-some games. Boston can put it away early.
You think so?
Well, I don't think they're going to go 35-5, but they have the pitching staff to make it hold up. And now that the pitchers are starting to get the job done to go with the hitters they have, even without plus power, that team can field it and they can throw it. And they got Kimbrel at the end, and he's really good.
Really good. Strike three, Dallas Keuchel's third punch out of the game. And Moncada coming up. 16-2 yesterday was the best start since 1987 in the Brewers. But I'm interested. You think that they can put that division away pretty early? You don't think the Yankees have enough to maybe make it pretty interesting?
No, I don't. I think Toronto has enough to make it interesting.
Really?
Yeah. I think Sanchez is good. Estrada's good. Happ is good. I think their rotation is good. They got Osuna at the back end. We saw them. They look pretty good. They're not missing Bautista that much. Donaldson looks like he's doing well. They got to get Stroman on track. If they do, that rotation is the match of a whole lot of rotations in baseball. I actually like Toronto for second place in the division.
But Uncle Steve, they lost today to the Yankees 9-1.
I know.
How could you possibly say that?
It was a bump in the road, as they say.
Blanket sharing. It's like ride sharing. Sweeping the nation. Click the button. A blanket shows up. There you go. Use your app, find a blanket partner, and go to the game. One and two. Sox lineup looks different tonight, as we mentioned. Anderson at the top for the first time. Moncada in the sixth position. And you heard what Ricky Renteria said about why Anderson's at the top, and maybe Yohan Moncada can help the middle of the lineup with his 11 walks already this year. He's got 4 doubles and 3 homers to his name. There is that lineup card written out by the beautiful calligraphy from Joe McEwing, White Sox bench coach.
It might not affect this at bat, but Moncada hitting 118 against left-handers. When you're 2 for 17, you hit down in the lineup.
On the ground to third. And a high throw. Tag is there, though. Gurriel got it down on Moncada. 2 away. By the way, on that lineup card, the bench coach writes out the lineup typically. Joe McEwing does that. I was asking him the other day, sometimes he'll just randomly capitalize letters on the lineup card just for fun. And that's what we saw on that card as well. Sometimes he just decides, you know what, I'm going to capitalize a letter. Try and break a streak.
Does a nice job of it. It's beautiful calligraphy.
Yes.
And he writes well.
Trace Thompson looking for his first Sox hit since October 4th, 2015. That was a triple against the Tigers. Two and 0 on Trace Thompson, who was very well liked in his first turn here with the Sox. Ground ball, another high throw, nicely brought in by Gurriel. 1-2-3 inning for Dallas Keuchel, 6 in a row since the Anderson double. Eight 0 your score is Sox trailing the Astros. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, our entire crew here at Guaranteed Rate Field with Lucas Giolito facing Marwin Gonzalez to open the third. Astros with 4 runs in each of the first 2 innings. But I have good news. We mentioned our friend Peter Sagal was watching the game. He says that because we mentioned him, he's now a converted White Sox fan and will remain so until the Red Sox game starts tonight at 9.
Oh, that's large of him.
One of the funniest men in America, Peter Sagal, and his band of merry characters on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, which tapes here in Chicago.
No, don't tell me.
It's the name of the show.
Oh, I thought that was a tease. You were gonna give the name of the show later on. So I applaud you for that. Well done. So I think Lurie Garcia is at second for a reason, and I think we might show you, not now, but we will show you, I think, the reason why he's at second base. We'll have to see, unless Yoan does have a leg problem, and we won't know. We'll learn about that later if he does. Otherwise, we will show you why Lurie's playing second. Take a look at the swing, and take a look at the run to first. Right here, he breaks it down. And instead of running through where he would have been safe, he broke it down. Ricky normally will not tolerate that, and unless there is a physical problem, and we don't know, in any event, Lurie's at second, and Yoan is out of the game.
Ball 4, leadoff walk. That's the 6th walk for the Astros in this game so far. Well, Yoan Moncada not having any work being done on him, so there's a piece of evidence in the dugout.
Yeah, it doesn't look particularly happy, and I think that's a teaching moment for Ricky Renteria and how he wants this game to be played by each and every one of his players. Young, veteran, star, guy that plays every now and then, or a guy that just plays every day and is learning the game.
And when you think about the harm, right? This isn't game 150 in a pennant race. This, if you're going to teach a lesson, if that's indeed what that was, this is actually the perfect scenario in which to do it.
You've got to teach it at the time it happens, not a couple innings later, or not by not playing him tomorrow. Because the best managers don't really have a doghouse. They get their point across and then pretty much put you in the lineup the next day. And Chris Volstead throwing once again. Not going to be a long hook for Giolito. And that's why everybody going to the mound to allow Volstead to get loose. And for Lucas, a very trying evening.
However, 6 years ago on this very date, we saw something that we haven't seen a whole lot. In Seattle, Philip Humber with a perfect game. A game that you were golfing for a portion of.
No, I was golfing for all of it. As a matter of fact, it was a national game. And Ryan didn't think he swung. Had he run right away, it's not a perfect game because it's a strikeout and he's at first base. But the fact that he waited around to appeal the swing allowed them to throw him out of first base. And Philip Humber joined the Immortals as far as this game is concerned. Perfect games in the history of this game, not too many.
He actually finished his career eventually with the Astros. He was a hometown kid. He's from Carthage, Texas, went to Rice in Houston. And his last year in the majors was 2013, that following year with Houston. Inside ball 4, it kicks away. And as tough of a night as Lucas Giolito is going to have.
And that's going to be it. Time to go to Chris Volstead. So as Chris Volstead comes in, that's going to be it for Lucas. A mighty disappointing evening, but one of those nights that he'll take with him. So we'll step out and be back after these messages.
Abreu, Moncada, and more. Visit WhiteSox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME.
There you look at the numbers as Chris is on for the 4th time. His best time was his last time. Opponent's batting average is .235. That's actually very good in a small sample size. So he's come on to try to stop the bleeding. First and second, nobody out. We go back to the top, and when they invented this game, they always told you if the #1 hitter is hitting for the 3rd time in the 3rd inning, you're probably in trouble.
You could put that on a bumper sticker.
A long bumper sticker.
Yeah, it gets a little lengthy. We'll talk to the marketing people about it. George Springer takes ball #1. We were talking during the break. There have been 23 perfect games all time, this being the anniversary of the Philip Humber perfect game for the Sox. That was a span of 5 in 3 years. at that point. Between, I think it was 2010 to 2012. There were 5 perfect games in 3 years. Volstad spins it to second, gets it out there, and from his knees, Garcia with a pick and sling for the double play.
Leury's always had a strong arm, and he shows it to you right there because kneeling down, he gets plenty on the throw. And there's no doubt that Springer can run. But he gets it there in plenty of time, and just like that, 2 erased off the bases, leaving a runner at third and 2 out. Bad throw, good pick. Excellent throw. And so it goes. 1-4-3.
First pitch swinging, Altuve fouls it away. He was getting a little bored at the plate, I think. Altuve, he had walked a couple times and he figured, well, look, I got a chance to take a hack. I might as well.
He usually doesn't leave anything to the imagination. Yet to hit his first home run of the year, but he'll hit over 20 this year. He usually does. Really been amazing in this game when you look at the stature of Altuve and realize that in Boston, Dustin Pedroia won an MVP, as did Altuve. It's the beauty of the game. You do not have to be a giant to play it. You don't have to weigh 250 pounds.
On the ground and through. You don't have to be a giant. You don't have to sting the ball every time to drive in a run. Altuve knocks home Gonzalez, and it's 9-0.
Taking it right back up the middle, past Volstad, very tough to the arm side. That's on the glove side. He makes the play. Leury up the middle, and he can't get to it, so it's a run batted in, the 9th for Altuve.
Now Carlos Correa, who's driven in a run, he's scored 2 runs, and he's walked. Well, the Sox do have a luxury in the bullpen in having both Volstad and Hector Santiago in terms of long relief. And if you do end up in a situation, which the Sox may with young pitchers, where there's some early trouble, there are guys who can sop up innings in that bullpen as long men.
And keep you out of the back end of the bullpen where you associate with winning or keeping a game close.
Called a strike to Correa.
Great pitching matchup. We talked about Boston. They're at Oakland. And Chris Sale going to the mound against Sean Manaea. Manaea with a 1.63 ERA. Chris's is 1.23. Manaea 2-2. Chris Sale looking for his second win.
One of our old friends is pitching as well tonight in Los Angeles. Derek Holland on the mound for the Giants.
Nice that he was able to resurrect his career and maybe fall into some good things. The Giants off to a slow start. They're 8-11. Chasing Arizona. Everybody's chasing Arizona in the West. Colorado in second place. The Dodgers, struggling Dodgers at 4.5 back, coming into play today.
Called strike 3. Correa goes limp at the plate. Volstad cleans up on aisle 3. 9-0. here in the third inning. Thanks for joining us tonight. And Sox are thinking about Danny Farquhar with the number of 43 on the hats this evening. You see it on Jose Abreu's cap, among others. And Danny Farquhar, as we mentioned earlier, at Rush University Medical Center in stable but critical condition at the neurosurgical ICU unit after a brain aneurysm during the game last night. After he came off the field pitching in the 6th inning, he went to the dugout, felt a headache, and then had the brain aneurysm, and the EMTs were there very quickly and brought Danny Farquhar to the Rush University Medical Center, where he's being attended to by Dr. Demetrius Lopez and the neurosurgical team there. Saw the jersey hanging up in the bullpen and the dugout as well. And there's one of the hats, TF43. Father of 3, Danny Farquhar. And there's his jersey hanging up in the bullpen. It's a ground ball to the left side, and Carlos Correa.
Give you an idea how strong that arm is, because it was an off-balance throw. He was running, and he gunned it across a perfect throw to first base. This young man is infinitely talented, and when Keuchel goes to the mound, you get a lot of ground balls. He takes a high hop and guns it across. I mean, he gets them by plenty.
They both are so smooth, Correa and Altuve, and then together the partnership is just fantastic.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better one around baseball in every aspect of the game.
Here's Adam Engel, who was 0 for 3 last night. Third base side, foul ball. If you're saying, you know what, I'm seeing a lot of ground balls, there's a reason for it. Ground ball outs this season in terms of percentage, the top 3 are on this staff.
Not surprising they would go after guys that could take advantage of their home park, because with the Crawford boxes in left field, it's so easy for anybody to hit it out. Left-handers can flick it out the opposite way, and right-handers, they have a very inviting short porch. So if you can throw 60% ground balls, you make sure that at least 6 out of 10 can't possibly get there, and then factor in your strikeouts. Pretty soon, if you're pitching to right and right center field in that ballpark, you might give up a home run every now and then, but that's about it.
To right center from Engel, and Springer is on it for out number 2. That's a consideration for teams building to your ballpark.
Well, because you're playing 81 games at home and you're playing assorted games on the road, if you don't tailor your team to your ballpark, then you've got a problem. For the Sox, as they move down the lane, they're going to have power on this team, because this is a power park. This is a park that's going to yield a lot of home runs.
In an oddity regarding that, Charlie Blackmon, coming into today, has all of his home runs on the road. How often do you see that from a Colorado player?
Not often.
Not often at all. Pitch number 40 for Dallas Keuchel.
The third inning is brought to you by the Subway Triple Play. Text Subway to 97999. 300th texter is going to win a $30 gift card. Subway, so much sandwich.
A lot of sandwich.
A lot of sandwich, especially a meatball sandwich.
How many meatballs do you think you've sold this year for Subway?
Oh, I don't know. Last sandwich I had, they gave me 40, so probably a lot.
Very demanding about your sandwich filling. 0-2. Off the plate, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tim has the only hit tonight for the Sox, a leadoff double. Good crowd this evening at the ballpark.
It's terrific as you look around, knowing it hasn't quite heated up yet. They're expecting that in June.
Close pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Did you call Skilling on that? I hope he didn't tell you that.
No, he told me that it's going to get progressively warmer. Actually, it was Roger Bossard who told me that the freezes are behind us, that warm weather is ahead, and what else did he tell me?
We got a window.
We got a window, is right.
To right field, Reddick really battling that wind, and he does make the catch. We're out number 3, 9 in a row sent away by Dallas Keuchel.
But missing was the prize shelf. You see, I put my phone on there. You can win that, certainly. We won't give it to you. You can also win my headset. We won't give you that either. You can't have the gnome, but what you can have is a plethora of really entertaining things, like whatever it is that Jason brought back from Winston-Salem. I don't even know if it goes this way or this way, but whatever it is, it's really good. It says $10. There's no way he paid for that, but you can have it. This is it. If you win, you got to be smart, quick, and right on the button.
Why did Chris wait like 30 seconds to throw that pitch? Why did he give you the chance to have that little diatribe? Throw a pitch.
Timing is everything. The pitchers union. Just like the unwritten rules, there's a pitchers union.
That's what you can win if you play Sox Math tonight. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. It's a pretty easy one tonight, so be ready for speed this evening. One. Hit well to right field. Ball's carrying that way tonight, and this one is up and over the top and back in, but it's gone. It's a home run for Josh Reddick to lead off the 4th. Second homer of the game for Reddick.
Reddick having a banner year. It's his 6th home run, his 15th driven in, his 5th tonight, and he gets another low pitch. This one looked like an off-speed pitch. It's just below thigh high, and he took it out.
There's a strike to Yuli Gurriel, who drove in a run with a sac fly in the 1st and then grounded out in the 2nd. But Houston, for the 2nd straight game, has 10 runs.
The difference is it was after 9 innings yesterday. It's in the 4th here today.
Well, when we looked at the schedule and saw Houston coming in April, there were 2 possible theories on this series. Ground ball hits the bag. Oh boy.
You know when you're going real good, when something happens like that. Yolmer thought he had a chance. Actually, probably thought this ball was going foul because it was picking up a lot of spin as it was going down the line, but neither happened. It hits the seam of the grass just where it meets the dirt and then catches the outside of the bag. And Yolmer calls for a fair catch. Waits for it to come down, and that's about all you can do.
So it's 1st and 10. I was saying 2 theories on this series. Number one, maybe it's really good to play the defending champs early because they're not untracked yet. Or number 2, when you're in a rebuild scenario, you don't want to face this team early because you might not have your own house where you necessarily want it with some of the young players that could be coming up later in the year for the Sox as well.
I thought it was an advantage to play them early before their pitching staff got together, but you know, they didn't hit all year, and now they're suddenly hitting, which is very good for them and very bad for the rest of the league.
One and one to Bregman. And tapped foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Correa last night with 2 homers. Reddick tonight with 2 homers. Astros up to 8 hits this evening. Volstad on 1 and 2. This is outside. There's strike 3, 1 away. Bregman goes down. And here is your Sox math question for tonight. It's brought to you by your local Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional deals. All right, take the number of games in the 05 World Series and then add Trace Thompson's jersey number. That's your question for tonight. Hashtag SoxMath on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off our prize shelf. You got it?
I have it.
Okay. What is it?
No, can't tell you. I'm holding it in abeyance.
Layaway Sox math. Garcia, foul territory. He's there to bring it in. And the throw on Gurriel over at first. So 2 down.
Nice play by Lurie as he goes over close to the stands, keeps his concentration, and puts it away. It's a nice effort. Had a long way to go. Sees exactly where he is, calls for it, and does a nice job.
That's an art, by the way, the ball boy or ball girl getting away down the first base line. They teach that in ball boy and ball girl class.
Takes a long time to graduate.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's the curriculum like?
Grueling. It is.
A lot of stool picking up.
Some of that. Avoidance of line drives. When to give the ball away, when not to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain amount of decorum that goes with that particular position. Not easily filled. And when you lose a good one, it's tough to find a replacement.
Devastating to the club.
Yep.
And that's for the top end ball person classes. I mean, you find some of these really like low rent safety schools for being a ball boy or ball girl.
There's an example.
You're sitting on your stool while the ball's coming. I mean, you have to find a really good mentor.
Well, realistically, you got to know that you can't touch a ball in play, and sometimes on a line drive, it's very difficult to figure out if the ball is live or if it's foul.
Well, that's why fair or foul is one of the first classes you take first semester.
Yep.
Final project is fairly difficult. They roll 50 balls down the line. Is it fair or is it foul? You miss one, you have to take the class over.
Different parks, yes.
No balls, 2 strikes. Breaking ball lashed. Foul. Foul.
From the left side, Gonzalez normally is a pull hitter.
Nice play on the ricochet.
There you go.
That's honors level.
Part of the class. Then you give it away with a little tap on the head. Thank you for playing.
Extra credit. Gurriel at first, 2 down. 4th inning. Upstairs for strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning. We'll play bottom 4 after this.
Wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
That's a nice little get up there. George Springer's wrestling persona. Rockets fan, Astros fan, Dynamo fan. Got them all. You want the good news or the bad news?
I'll always take the bad news, as my boss insists on that.
Okay, so the bad news is the score right now.
Yes.
Good news is it's not a high school baseball game that happened in Massachusetts last week.
And because?
That final score was 82-0.
Well, the starting pitcher, I don't think went very far in that one.
You know what?
But it really taxed the pen, I'll bet.
That's what you would assume. He actually threw a complete game.
The one who shut the other team out, or the one who gave up 82 runs?
He gave up all 82.
Well, apparently the bullpen was taxed, and when their coach said, "This game is yours, son," he meant it.
He gave up 92 hits and threw all 8 innings.
That's an Iron Man. Yeah, what was the pitch count?
Yeah, we're not gonna...
1,052?
He just pitched his last game. We know that for sure. Evidently, according to this story, the losing team committed 22 errors.
They made up for bad pitching with porous defense.
Avi fouls it off his foot.
Yikes.
It was Old Rochester versus Cristo Rey. They're going to play again, by the way, but the winning team's going to use the junior varsity players. No joke. They're back on the schedule next year.
Jeez, that's an interesting scheduling situation.
82 zip. That's in there for a strike. Dallas Keuchel with his 4th strikeout of the game. Head to the park for $1 Vienna beef hot dogs every Wednesday home game this season. Endorsed by Steve Stone.
I love them.
Take advantage of this unbeatable deal Wednesday, April 25th, as the Sox take on the Mariners at 1:10 p.m.
Guess
Get
what's
your tickets at whitesox.com today.
Guess what's coming up?
What's that?
Wouldn't it be interesting to have Dog Day on Dog Day?
I like the way your mind thinks.
I don't think we have that, though. I don't think it falls on a Wednesday this year.
Nope. Dog Day is coming up, though. It's Monday.
There you go.
2 dog days in one series.
And in one season, we have another one later in the year, I believe in September. It's my favorite day at the park. Love Dog Day.
One. Jose, right field. And that's down. Abreu 1 for 2.
Never a wasted at bat for Jose, and that's how you hit 300. Takes it the other way, knows it's a base hit, flips the bat, drops it in front of Reddick. And the second base hit given up. Anderson led off with a double, led to nothing. And the base hit here with 1 out in the 4th.
You never know when a comeback might show up on your radar.
I've seen stranger things than that.
Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Abreu at first, 1 out. 1-1 for Dallas Keuchel, who grew up in the Tulsa area. And one of his friends was the son of Charlie O'Brien, the 15-year major leaguer. So Dallas Keuchel, when he was a young buck, got to meet Greg Maddux and learn a little bit from him.
I could say you can learn a whole lot from him. I'm not sure what his future holds, but what a wonderful instructor he is and would be down the road.
Springer doesn't have to move very much, and 2 down in the 4th. Who was the guy that you ran into either as a youth or very early in your career that you said, I just can't believe I met this person? Didn't have to be starstruck, but you were very excited to meet whomever it is.
I played in a league that had a lot of guys that had played professional baseball. Now we're playing in a city league in Cleveland. And one of my teammates knew, because he played with Mel Stottlemyre, who was a star with the Yankees, great sinker, wonderful pitcher, became a great coach. And he asked me if I wanted to meet him when he came to Cleveland. And I said, phew, boy, that would be wonderful. So we went out to dinner that night. Lou, my teammate, along with Mel Stottlemyre, and I remember asking him, must have asked him 500 questions. Couldn't ask him enough questions. And he patiently answered each and every one. I was thinking my first year of, I think it was the final year of high school. And I just remember asking him everything I could think of. One of the things I said to him was, you know, if they're hitting me occasionally in this league, how could I ever think about playing professional baseball? I said, what's your best pitch? I said, well, I throw pretty hard, but my best pitch is a curveball. He said, remember something. They don't hit a curveball in high school. They don't hit it in college. They don't hit it in summer league ball. They won't hit it in the minor leagues, and they don't hit a good curveball in the major leagues. Nobody hits a good curveball. So if you have one and you can get it over the plate, you can win anywhere. And I remember sorted other questions, but meeting Mel Stottlemyre at that time in my life to tell me not to be in awe of these guys, even though a lot of them are going to the Hall of Fame, you have to go out and do your job, and they're standing in the way of you doing your job. So even though they might be bigger, stronger, faster, and quicker than you are, you got to beat them to be successful. And he started me on the road to thinking about how it was that at 5'9", I was going to be able to get hitters out who were giants for the most part, much better athletically than I was, and I had to figure out how to do it. I couldn't beat them physically, so I had to figure out how to beat them intellectually and how to use my mental abilities to give me a leg up at least. Give me some sort of an advantage, and eventually, way down the road, it really worked out.
That's strike 3. Bookend strikeouts for Dallas Keuchel. 10-0 after 4.
Okay, it wasn't all that good. I mean, 51, 111, not much to write home about, but last year, 101 and 61. Batting average, you can see, runs per game. Not difficult to figure out why last year was as good as it was, and errors especially. So they won the World Series. And shop in store or online at mybobs.com. Dare to compare.
Discount Bob's entering the baseball in-game comparison marketplace to challenge Chris Kamka's swap meet. Competitor on the cross corner across the street. Evan Gattis takes a strike. Astros with 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. But again, this series, just looking at what the Astros did in terms of building, the Astros are at the end point, the end game of that rebuild. The Sox are in year number 2 of the rebuild, and you would imagine that this series would get lopsided a bunch of times if played 100 times. And it's in part because the Sox are aiming at a target that is essentially this Astros team.
Well, they also have one that's a little closer to home, and look what Kansas City did under Dayton Moore and his staff. They rebuilt, and they did it with a lot of homegrown players. Those guys at the corners, Hosmer and Moustakas. Hosmer's in San Diego, Moustakas still there. Made a good trade for Greinke. They got Kane and they got Escobar. They had Billy Butler on that team. So they brought guys up from the minor leagues. Salvi Perez was one of those guys they brought up. And it all fit together. They came a game away from winning the World Series, and the next year they did win it. So it is a process, and we've seen it done over and over again. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen here, because for the most part, if you just look at minor league talent, pure minor league talent, the Sox's talent is better than that Kansas City started with, and probably better than what Houston had at one point. Now, obviously, you look at Correa and some of the other guys that come up, and they're awfully good.
Sanchez backpedaling, long throw, and Abreu can't pick it. Jose has been very good over at first on one-hop throws. That one he couldn't finally claim.
Goes as a base hit. It's a long throw. It's down the line. Yolmer does a nice job of spearing it, but has to drift back on the grass, and Jose almost was able to make the play. I think for him it would have been better had it hit off the grass. You can't really judge where it's going to hit, but that skip throw across, especially with Gattis running. And look, Yolmer is not indigenous to third base. He is a middle infielder. He plays a lot of second, plays some short. He is playing a quality third base, just doesn't have the big arm of the true third baseman.
Ball number 1 to Springer. Breaking ball just missed. Springer, who bounced into a double play in the 3rd. It was right back to Volstad. Actually, his first batter that he faced was the Springer double play ground ball. And Altuve the RBI single to add a run for the Astros. Well hit to right center field. Avi is over to make the play. Here's your Sox Math winner for tonight. 2-part question, this being the weekend. 4 games in the 05 World Series. The Sox sweep of the Astros. 32 is Trace Thompson's jersey number. 36. And your winner is Mike Ganella. Number 32, a number familiar to you.
I like that number.
You liked it more than 21?
I had so many numbers that I settled on that one, and liked that one simply because it was a number worn by Sandy Koufax that helped him move to the Hall of Fame. And I always thought, and everybody thought, you know, well, I liked Sandy Koufax for a lot of different reasons. You look at some of the 32s around. Trace Thompson recently reacquired 32. Then Dustin Hermanson, we talked about him. Everybody from Kent State wore 32. Alex Fernandez, Steve Carlton. Pretty good pitchers on that list.
Garcia at second, taps the bag and guns it for the double play. Leori Garcia finishes off the Astros here in the 5th. Club with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience. This private club's the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family, and they're available for season ticket packages or individual games. 312-674-1000 or whitesox.com/premium seating. 10-0 Astros with the lead as Garcia leads it off in this 5th, and there Moncada out of the game, so Garcia in, and there is strike 1 to Garcia. It's outside, ball and a strike. Sox with 2 hits so far, the Anderson double in the 1st and the Abreu single last inning. Astros starting rotation came into this game with a 2.15 ERA through 21 games. Foul territory, and Gurriel for out number 1. So first 21 games, lowest starters ERA. The 78 Athletics were at 175. The only problem is they only won 69 games all year.
Get off to a good start, though.
They did. Yeah. Rick Langford among others on that staff. The 07 A's with a 2.07 ERA. What's going on in Oakland? First 3 weeks of the season, top 3 starters ERAs.
Good pitching, and you can't feel your hands because first week of the season is very cold, only to get colder progressively throughout the season till around the middle of August. And then summertime is in October when they really enjoy it. That's kind of the Bay Area story.
Trace Thompson, right field. Reddick back, warning track in the wall, it's gone. Welcome back, Trace Thompson, as he splashes down in right field.
Well, you going to say it or should I?
Well, you said before the game,
yes,
Trace Thompson's going to hit a home run.
And
what's wrong with you?
And he did.
He did.
And he took it to the place he had to take it because he wasn't going to hit it to left field. He hit it to right field. So our fourth drive of the game is the aforementioned home run. We'll show it to you. Trace Thompson, a very happy reunion with his former team.
And maybe it breaks off a rally. Let's see. Sanchez to right field.
So our Ford drive is none other than this. He reached outside, took it into the wind tunnel, and took it out. Visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com.
And with that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Nellius family in loving memory of Ursula. That will fund Steve's next crystal ball.
By the way, Jack Ruby will attest to that because I told him at dinner before the game.
I heard it too.
Yeah, well, you know, I just thought if I needed, you know, look, I need a co-signer for cash. So I thought if I needed anybody to back me up, it would be Uncle Jack, who is probably at home right now sleeping.
It's a strike to Adam Engel. Sox get a run on Trace Thompson with his first Sox hit since October 4th, 2015.
That's been a while.
Uh-huh.
But he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do here.
On the infield, Altuve the call, and he makes the catch. We're out number 2. Look, Trace Thompson in 2015 at the close of the season was very good for this Sox team. And then 2016, there was a time where he was batting in the middle of that Dodgers order.
I really believe that he's got some skills, and I think that this might be the ideal time and the ideal place to help him resurrect his career. First of all, he's probably as well liked as any teammate wherever he happens to go to. So he was accepted wonderfully back into that clubhouse. And you know, he's a wonderful guy, a great athlete. No reason he can't have plenty of good play left. And I just think that I think it's the right place at the right time for him because I think he's comfortable here. I think he loved it here. I think he was very disappointed when he left, but that's the business of baseball. Now he's back, and I think he's happy to be here, judging by that opposite field home run.
2-0 on Tim, and Chuck Garfien reported it yesterday on our telecast that it was one of the toughest calls Rick Hahn had to make when he called Trace Thompson and said that he'd been traded. And Trace said that he was devastated when that call came. On the ground left side, Correa has to charge and throw for out number 3, but the Sox get a run. Trace Thompson fills out the right field bullpen. It's 10-1.
And there are some true Chicago fans. Nice sweater.
Which one?
One on the right and a nice jersey on the left.
Sox first run off Trace Thompson's bat, a solo shot last inning. So Chris Volstad trying to soak up some more innings for the bullpen. Lucas Giolito, 2 innings plus 2 batters tonight. 7 walks. Carlos Correa takes ball number 1 on a breaking ball from Volstad. Garcia can't get there. It's a single for Correa, his 2nd hit of tonight's ball game. All right, time now for the minor league report. GMC down on the farm. We are professional grade. It's down the road a piece. In Indianapolis, Michael Kopech against the AAA Pirates, already with 9 strikeouts. And here is number 10 on a non-fastball.
Oh, good slider, and looked like it froze him, and it wasn't low and away. That one actually started at Ludlow and then snapped over the plate.
So Ricky Renteria makes a pitching change. Volstad will walk off, and Luis Avilan comes out of the bullpen. But a lot going on tonight in the minor leagues for the Sox, including a walk-off win for the Winston-Salem Dash. Dane Dunning was great again, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. But Winston-Salem wins with 3 runs in the 9th inning to win 4-3. Alex Call with a bunt hit to score the winning run, the former Ball State Cardinal. And so Winston-Salem gets another victory. We were mentioning earlier Dylan Cease. Got a chance to sit down and chat with him, who came over from the Cubs in that trade for Jose Quintana. And we knew after Sox Fest he was a pretty thoughtful guy in terms of the art of pitching, and we'd heard that before he came over. We got to talking, and he mentioned that he is a very meditative sort of guy. I asked him where he would go if he got the opportunity to go anywhere in the world, and his answer immediately was South India. He is an aspiring yogi.
Well, there's certainly a lot of knowledge to be had in that area of the world, and there's also a lot of knowledge to be had if you bring it into this area of the world.
Well, you talk so much about baseball being a mental game. To have somebody that young thinking about kind of the spirituality of being on the mound could come in handy.
There's a look at Luis Avilan and what he's done so far. This is 9th game. That ERA will go down. He had a great year last year with the Dodgers. No reason to assume he won't have a great year this year, but he's got to control a man who's been uncontrollable tonight, Josh Reddick. What a night he's had.
Grand slam in the 2nd, solo homer in the 4th, walk and run scored in the 1st. There's a breaking ball in for a strike from Avilan. So Chris Volstad gives the Sox 3 innings plus 1 batter tonight to bridge between the 3rd and the 6th. Reddick, the 2nd guy in this series for the Astros to have 2 homers in a game after Correa did so last night. Homers in the 6th and the 9th of Houston's 10-0 win yesterday. It's down low, and here are the home runs for Reddick tonight.
Well, he's had quite a night. This the grand slam, 100.7 miles an hour exit velocity, and this line drive is 102.8. Got out a little more quickly, both equally as effective, and they produced 5 runs driven in.
Ball smoked foul. Sox and Astros will play once again tomorrow. It's a Coca-Cola Family Sunday, 1:10 start time. Good job by the ball boy down the first base line, finding a fan to give a ball to. Also part of the curriculum at Ball Person School.
Fan selection is paramount to graduation.
It's the capstone project.
Yep. I remember.
You went?
No, I funded it. And that's how you have to dress here on April 21st. Make sure you're very warm and you're enjoying everything that this ball game has to offer you. Mostly the concessions at this point, but you never know.
Tomorrow, McCullers versus Lopez. Reynaldo Lopez has been outstanding for the Sox.
And also just a really good matchup of two young, very strong-armed pitchers. You're going to love the stuff of both of these guys. McCullers, much more of an opportunity to excel to this point. But Lopez is a number 1 or 2 starter waiting to happen.
Three and two from Avilan. Another foul ball.
Toyota going places is Reynaldo Lopez. 13 innings, just 6 hits with a couple of earned runs, 9 walks, 15 strikeouts. Toyota going places, and Toyota, let's go places.
Here's the pitch. That's called strike 3. He froze him. Reddick must have thought it was high, but that was in the zone.
That one was completely in the zone. Reddick thought it was up there. Fortunately, Andy Fletcher agreed with Luis Avilan, and well caught by Wellington Castillo. Watch the glove. Just kind of eases it down into the zone. Have a seat, Josh. You've had a very good night anyway. 5 is enough.
Starting a new reboot of the old series.
Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, if he gets 8, it's going to be even longer.
Just thought you might have had trouble in casting, getting the other 3. Yuli Gurriel, whose brother Lourdes got his first career major league hit yesterday, and just for fun, when Lourdes came back to the dugout, the Blue Jays pretended to throw the ball into the stands.
Well, that'll happen sometimes. That and the silent treatment, those things never grow old, even 50, 60 years later.
Is that true?
Yeah, they never grow old. You got to love that.
What's amazing is you are thinking about that. You're beaming.
Oh, well.
You like impish locker room tricks.
You have to do that. I mean, it's a long year, especially if it's not going to be a winning year. On those years when you're winning, it seems to go very quickly. On those years when things aren't going real well, it seems to go a little bit more slowly. And that's when the guys in the clubhouse who can really keep it loose, like Yomer Sanchez, guys like that, are really appreciated by their teammates. Because still in all, even at its worst, it's a lot of fun to play this game for a living. I mean, as bad as it gets, as tough as the travel gets and everything that goes with it when you're struggling as a team, it still beats anything else you can do if you love this game as we do each and every day.
That's why if you see in a loss, right, somebody with a smile on their face in the dugout, the reaction should be, that's actually, it's not a bad thing necessarily, depending on what's in the heart that props up the smile. But the idea is you have to try to stay stable psychologically even during a losing streak or a game like tonight.
And this is also this is an everyday game. You're going to come right back out tomorrow, even after 2 disastrous losses, if in fact this one holds up, and you're going to have to play tomorrow. That's what this game is all about. 162 game piece of the puzzle that you put together and weave into a tapestry each and every day. And this game just keeps on going. And regardless of what happens, there's a game tomorrow and a game tomorrow, and that's how it works throughout the season. And for the teams that are lucky enough, you get to play in October. And that's what everybody is shooting for, and then you win the big prize like Houston did last year.
Luis Avilan pumping in strikes.
Throwing a good curveball tonight. This is the curveball that he threw with the Dodgers. This is the one we saw on occasion in spring training. And the ERA that he's had now, that's not really how he'll work. when he gets that curveball down, and we're seeing it tonight, I mean, it just drops out of the clouds for a strike.
2 strikes. That one's outside. A ball and 2 strikes on Bregman. Correa's over at first. And that's inside. Told you about Winston-Salem tonight getting a win. AA Birmingham tied at 1 in the 9th inning in lovely Pensacola, Florida. The Barons taking on the Blue Wahoos. Sebi Zavala's got another hit. He drove in a couple last night. He's 1 for 3 tonight at .333 a couple weeks into the season.
I talked about him the other day. I was doing an interview, and they asked for guys that you don't hear a whole lot about that might have an impact on the Sox. And I said, Sebi Zavala is hitting everything in sight. He did it all spring. He did it last year. He's doing it again this year. So he's a catcher to keep your eye on.
Out of San Diego State. Pop up. Could be trouble. Garcia can't get there. First and second, 2 down for McCann.
Little pop up, and I guess perhaps it's a little chilly for the legs of Correa because he should be standing on third. Instead, he's standing on second.
Well, you remember the unwritten rules from yesterday, where if you're down 5-0, you shouldn't be taking third base or trying to. So up 10-1, you figure you chop your steps and stop at second.
Yeah, and it is a chilly night, but he should be on third. Because with 2 outs, you're not going to get doubled up.
Could you imagine Steve Spurrier coaching baseball? Remember back in the day, you'd have those Florida teams that go ahead and win like 120-0 on homecoming against.
Yeah, Weber State or something like that. Yeah.
So it might take somebody like that to bust up these unwritten rules that sometimes are there for a reason and sometimes are a little silly.
Well, the one thing I do agree with, and we talked about it earlier, let's say the score stays the same and it's the 8th inning and you get on first base, nobody's holding you, then you don't take second base. I mean, that in itself is something that I personally don't like, but some managers feel, hey, look, if you're still trying to get me out, I'm going to still trying to hit and I'm going to try to run. Some managers have that idea to instill in their ball club a way to play that they carry with them each and every day.
Well, if the idea is to play through 27 outs, there shouldn't be an on-off switch in any situation for your best interest. Now there's decorum, and this is not me saying Justin Verlander was right or wrong or anything like that with what he said about Tim Anderson. It's simply to say that if you grow up in baseball a certain way, those are the rules you know because they've been instilled upon you. And I think over the course of time, some have changed and some have not.
Well, 5-0 is still a ball game.
Yeah.
10-0 in the 8th inning, although occasionally a team will come back. Mostly they don't, and that's why they don't hold you close.
But you don't play baseball for mostly. You play baseball for the unique thing that you're going to see that night. And if you want to be part of that, you're down 10-0, you hit the gas pedal.
Well, then when you come to bat next, they can hit you. They're not going to hit me.
You're going to say they were going to throw at me.
There's one of the best in the business, Justin Verlander, who was brilliant again last night. That's a man you want on your team, whether he comments about a 5-0 steal or not.
He's so fun to watch.
Look, when there's a big game, you want him with the baseball on the mound. That's the guy that you want to send out there when you have to win a big one because he's won a lot of big ones.
Three balls, 2 strikes from Avilan to McCann. On the ground, Garcia with Abreu scrambling over. And that is out number 3. 2 stranded for Houston. Bottom 6 coming next.
pretty good also. So there's the upcoming schedule. Guts, Glory, Ram.
Avi, Jose, and Wellington coming up in the 6th inning. Thanks for joining us tonight, wherever you might be. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. We have one Cy Young Award between us. Dallas Keuchel has visited the trophy case as well.
Yeah, he's got one of those.
And Avi rips this ball foul. All right, time now for Sticks and Stone. Brought to you by Volkswagen, your local Volkswagen dealer, or VWDealer.com. What former Astro not only owns .231 average against you, but also had a speaking role in the movie Bad News Bears in Breaking Training?
I'd like to see those names again, please. Can I buy a vowel?
You can. It'll cost you $1,000 to my pocket.
Enos Cabell, Cesar Cedeno, Bob Watson. I'll say Bob Watson.
That's your answer?
Yeah, and I do have a story with it, depending on the answer that comes up.
Who's the best story?
Bob Watson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a silver medalist?
No.
Okay. So we're rooting for Bob Watson.
Well, I mean, I'll still tell the Bob Watson story regardless. I mean, we got plenty of time. It's not like we're rushing through this one.
One down for Abreu. There's ball number 1 to Jose, who's 1 for 2. 74 pitches for Dallas Keuchel so far through 5 1/3. Boy, his stuff looks good tonight.
Well, he hasn't won a game, but last time out against Seattle, he was terrific. He just ran into a better pitcher, and he's not getting any support. So they're making up for it all tonight, unfortunately.
Here, Dallas.
Yeah, because 4 starts, what, 4 runs?
Yeah.
I mean, 4 earned runs and 4 starts, 4 runs overall.
4 runs of support.
Just
and 4
amazing.
total starts. All right, here's your Sticks and Stone answer. Let's hope it's Bob Watson. It is.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
I'm nursing along a 1-0 lead in Candlestick Park, and Norm Miller comes to bat. And it's 4 2/3 innings. Wind blown the wrong way for that one.
Yeah, it's a left field and 2 down. So you're at Candlestick.
Norm Miller hits me with a 1-hop rocket. There was an artificial surface then in the infield. Hits me with a 1-hop rocket off my shin. I crawl to the ball, and I can't make the play. So it keeps the inning alive, and it's killing me, and they come out asking me, how's my shin? Well, it's 4 2/3 innings. So actually, I got him out. I crawled to the ball and got him out. And I can't leave it 4 2/3 because I can't qualify for a win, even though, well, I think it just stopped bleeding last week. And this was 1971. So then Bob Watson comes up, and I'm going to fool him, throw him a first pitch changeup. He hits it out of the ballpark. It's 1-1. They take me out of the game, and I get a no decision instead of a win. So I blame Norm Miller, but then Bob Watson got the credit for it because I tossed one and he hit it out.
So you haven't rented that Bad News Bears video?
No. What does it say?
Well, it's a movie.
Well, I know that.
What does it say?
Yeah.
Do your movies speak to you?
No, but what I want to know is the plot, because I'm interested in the plot. Is there a plot twist?
I'm sure there is at some point.
Okay, well.
I have to say I haven't seen it.
Was Bob Watson actually in that speaking part, huh?
Yeah, he had a speaking role.
They talk about hitting that home run and tying up the game at 1 in Candlestick Park in 1971.
You know, that was cut for time.
Oh.
The theater company.
Left on the floor?
Yeah.
That's sad.
They were going to remake it into a musical and keep that. But I heard your people declined.
Well, I have my people get to your people and tell you directly.
Yeah, you do a jig for a while and get hit in the shin. Fall on the stage.
I still remember that. You remember every time you're hit, by the way. And I still remember that one.
I sure do. It's been 3 years in the booth with you. I've got a list. That's ball 4. And the first walk tonight for the Sox comes with 2 down in the 6th. What's your favorite baseball movie?
Field of Dreams by a wide margin.
Really?
I love the movie. Gives me a chance to get a good cry at the end. When his father says, you want to have a catch? And when Moonlight Graham decides to save his daughter and then walk into the cornfields. It kills me.
You're getting choked up now.
Yeah, well, I think it's the wind, but okay, I'll take it.
Your window's closed.
Sensitivity's my long suit, you know.
No shortage of irony this Saturday evening. He's Steve, I'm Jason. Thanks for joining us. 10-1 your score, 6th inning. And Matt Davidson with Castillo at first. There's a strike, 1-1. Two balls and a strike on Davidson, who's got 11 walks this year. Matt has been much more selective at the plate. $19 walks all last season in 118 games. 443 trips to the plate. Third base side off the bag, and that tied Bregman up. Oh, it's a
They're saying it's a foul ball. Looked to me like it hit the bag, but we'll have to see. Apparently not. It took an odd hop. I mean, took a most unusual hop. No, it missed the bag, and then it came back. That ball actually came back toward the field of play. It crossed the bag foul, but it was going back in the other direction, and Bregman has all he could do to defend himself, let alone make the catch.
With that bounce, thought for sure that thing hit the bag, but Laz Diaz was right on it.
Just hit right next to the bag and then took the abrupt right turn on Bregman.
Two. Castillo at first, 2 down. 6th inning here at Guaranteed Rate Field. Crowd still lively tonight. Two in the dirt and up the chest protector of McCann, so Castillo runs to second.
That's a very wild pitch. There it is. That's why the wild pitch was invented, for pitches just like that that goes over Matt's head. Dallas Keuchel's fastball average velocity is under 89 miles an hour. That is 4th lowest in baseball for starting pitchers. Average velocity 92.3 miles an hour these days.
That's a low ball 4. Davidson draws walk number 12 of his season. By the way, let's check that speaking role for Bob Watson from Bad News Bears.
This is from movieclips.com, by the way, which is something I check all the time. That's Bob Watson.
Come on, let the kids play.
It's William Devane. William Devane. That's it. Jeez, Bob, you normally had a half a line he could deliver. There he delivered the whole line.
I thought he was great.
He was terrific. I loved the emoting. I mean, nobody can emote like Bob. Wonderful man, by the way. General manager, a couple of different times, and a good one, and a good hitter.
Scored baseball's 1 millionth run. How about that?
That's terrific. I remember I thought I had a chance to do that. I just couldn't get on base. I thought I had a chance, though.
Yeah.
I was around at that time.
How many runs did you ever score as a pinch runner? Or
I have no idea. Did not
Really?
keep track of it. Are you going to look that up? I'd like to
Yeah.
think I scored 1 at least.
well, you do have prowess as a pinch runner.
I do have that. I don't know if prowess was a description, but I did pinch run. You're going to have to dig deep for that one.
You're not gonna believe this.
I know. I don't believe it now.
Chopped foul. What would you say is the number that you would guess? How many
8.
runs you scored? 8?
8.
Take the over, 9. Scored 9 runs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Considering I was 0 for 34 my first year, I don't know how they held down my potent bat, but they did. I really came on late in my career, considering I spent a lot of it in the American League.
You walked 11 times?
Yeah, I
Who
know
walked you?
They released the pitchers. My first major league at bat was a pitcher from Ohio State by the name of Dr. Steve Arlen, who somehow walked me. I was yelling out I couldn't hit, and I didn't want to run the bases, so just throw a strike, and he couldn't. My first at bat ever, I took a walk.
Wow. There's a guy who walked you twice. How could that be possible?
He went to work for Bozo's Burgers after that. Who walked me twice?
It was Gary Gentry.
From the Mets, Gary Gentry had great stuff.
Not that day. Jeez.
Twice in one game?
Twice for your career.
Oh,
I don't know if they happened in the same game.
No, they couldn't have. I usually only lasted to the 3rd in those days.
He was drafted by the Astros, Gary Gentry, who are out of this 6th inning. Sorry, Gary. 10-1 your score.
Presented by Nationwide's Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media, because Nationwide is on his side and their side and your side with Jeff Vukovich. There's how to get in touch with him. You'll find him an amiable fellow, and even their side, which seems to be a warm side at this point.
Yeah. 10-1 your score. It's a good night for cuddling at the ballpark. So we were talking about Bob Watson and him scoring the 1 millionth run in baseball history, and there's actually an interesting story that goes along with that 1 millionth run. Every ballpark on that day in May 1975, May 4th, 1975, was being updated on the runs being scored in baseball at the time. So everybody knew how many runs were on the board and who was going to maybe be the 1 millionth. It's like being the 12th caller.
I know, I was there. I mean, I remember that day. Yeah, I was playing on the other side of town at the time.
So did you want to be involved in the millionth run?
Yes, I honestly thought I had a shot at it.
Oh, see, I thought you were joking.
No,
when you
I
said
was serious. That was 75. No, I was having a pretty good year, and I thought perhaps I would be able to do that. Didn't quite work out that way, as Bob Watson, who destroyed my career in 71, did it again in 75.
So evidently, it was Milt May that homered, that scored Bob Watson for that millionth run. Right after Milt May hit that homer, Davey Concepcion at Riverfront Stadium hit a home run too, and he knew what the numbers were. So he hits the home run, and he sprints around the bases to try to score the 1,000th run. But Milt May homered first, and Bob Watson was just booking it around. There was a 3-run homer, so he's booking it around third base to get there quicker to make sure he's the guy. And it must have been just a couple of seconds that he beat Davey Concepcion, who ended up being the 1,001st run scorer in baseball history.
And that, as Luis Avalon walks out, we will walk out of that story and be back after these messages. No, they have much deeper voice for
First
Bill
10,000
Melton.
fans get a free Bill Melton themed T-shirt presented by the Village of Bedford Park. Bring your business home to Bedford Park and win big. Buy your tickets today. WhiteSox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. That's Thursday, May 3rd, 7:10 p.m.
And folks, that is a nice looking shirt, but didn't do justice to Bill Melton, who's a handsome man. And there's Gregory Infante coming on for the 7th time, just recalled from the minor leagues. There you look at the numbers. And he will get better.
1 inning for Luis Avilon. 2 hits, 2 strikeouts. That ball fades inside to Evan Gaddis. Astros got 4 runs in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Ball smashed foul left side. Nice play on the ricochet by the ball girl. Pick a fan, any fan. Ooh, or not. A conservationist. A breaking ball for a strike from Gregory. Evan Gaddis, a former 23rd round pick of the Braves out of Texas Permian Basin. Midland area. First 4 years out of high school, he didn't play baseball. He was traveling around trying to find himself. Is there is strike 3.
There he is.
And we found him. 1 down.
He freezes him with a breaking ball, and he gets him. Good pitch. Gaddis could not pull the trigger. And a little unhappy with himself, but that's a tough pitch at any time. And certainly That's the best curveball that Gregory's thrown in quite some time.
Yeah.
That was a dandy.
Sometimes I think it's easy to think, well, somebody gets sent down to the minor leagues and they're being sent down and they'll come back as the very same person. And quite often, if there's dedication to the craft, whichever it is, hitting or pitching, you will see a different type of pitch, style of pitching, or something different.
Well, usually the message is, look, you can go down and hang your head or bemoan your fate or worry about what's going to happen, but if you go down there and work as hard as you can, and in this case, of course, Danny Farquhar being disabled, Greg was able to come back right away.
Another breaking ball from Infante. 1 ball, 1 strike on Springer, who scored 2 runs tonight. He has been thorny in this series. 4 runs scored out of the 20 for Houston. If your leadoff guy scored 4 runs in 2 games, you're probably doing pretty well for yourself. Two and 1. To third, Sanchez the pick. Garcia the turn. Double play. Gregory Infante with a nice inning here in the 7th. And then more strikeouts for Keuchel. 6 of them in total for Dallas Keuchel tonight. And he's got a 10-1 advantage as he comes out of the ball game. We'll play bottom 7. And the Astros dip into the bullpen for the first time in this game. Hector Rondon, former Cub, pitching for the Astros. Dallas Keuchel, 6 innings, a grand total of 4 hits. He gave up 1 run on the Trace Thompson homer, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. The final line as Rondon, with his .245 ERA, goes to the mound. I don't think he made a lot of friends on the other side of town when he was asked the other day which team was better, the 2016 World Series champs or the 2017 team, because he was very much in these guys' corner right now, but you would imagine so because they are the ones signing his paycheck.
You develop an intense allegiance as you look at the score. It's all Astros. It's been all Astros for 2 straight nights as Rondon comes in. Had some good moments on the other side of town. He's got a very good arm.
Trace Thompson, who homered back in the 5th. Fastball strike at 96. Good arm is certainly true.
Yeah, he's always had that. Control has been an issue at times, but it hasn't been stuff.
We have 2 Rondons in the same building and a Rodon.
It's complicated, but we will muddle through. 2015, Rondon was awfully good. I mean, awfully good might be understating it. 72 appearances, a 1.67 ERA, and a 6-4 record. So when you look at the numbers, 15 walks, and that year, 69 strikeouts. It was an overwhelming year.
This year he's gone completely away from the changeup, which he wasn't throwing a lot anyway, but he's fastball slider now this season.
Well, that big year he saved 30 games. The year before he saved 29. So he had some very good moments and then fell on some hard times. They shuttled him along.
Outside with the breaking ball, 2-2 on Trace Thompson. Talk about being shuttled along. Trace Thompson was a member of the Yankees very briefly, then put on waivers, picked up by the Athletics, now picked up by the Sox, all in a very short period of time. But as you said earlier, this is a different situation. Number one, than he left here, and number two, than he left behind in New York and Oakland.
He's got some play left, as we've seen tonight.
Up the middle, Altuve's got to hurry, and he does nip Trace Thompson for out number one.
Right back up the middle, and it doesn't appear that Rondon got a piece of it, so it'll go 4-3. Off balance throw, gets rid of it quickly, and he gets him.
So here's Yolmer with one down. Here's ball number one. 1 for 2 tonight for Sanchez. Astros got 4 in the first and 4 in the second inning to take a big lead against Lucas Giolito tonight. Bullpen's done a nice job of eating up innings.
Yeah, they were forced out into this game earlier than they would have liked. Lucas Giolito just did not have much of anything. Tough night for him, giving him 9 runs in 2+ innings, and it was the 7 walks that he'll be most disappointed in, not necessarily the 9 runs. Came on only 5 hits. They just had no command and couldn't pull it back and couldn't find it, and you have those nights, and this was one of those nights for Lucas.
One, two. Fouled hard off the dugout third base side. And again brushed aside by Sanchez. Told you Birmingham was in a close game in Double-A. The Barons end up winning 2-1. Sebi Zavala with a home run. The Barons on some minimal hits get the victory.
Pensacola's tough at home. They always have been.
A couple years in the Southern League, they've been terrifying at home. Second base, Altuve. 2 down. Yolmer Sanchez can do some trick shots, by the way. This is to promote the Los White Sox jersey giveaway coming up. Look at what this guy can do with his feet. Soccer in his background, certainly. All right, so that's the ball in the air. Then he hits a baseball, and they both go in the target. You think that was fake?
I would like to bet against that again. If he'd like to do that.
That is real.
That's amazing.
I asked Matt Dahl,
it's really amazing,
who videoed that, and that actually happened.
That's great. I mean, it's a lot of skill to be able to put either of them in with maybe 8 or 10 chances, let alone to do that. Noah would be proud. That's Yolmer's little one.
That Los White Sox jersey, by the way, is May 5th against Minnesota to the first 20,000 fans, presented by Coca-Cola, in case you were wondering. We'll play the 8th next. It's MLB.tv, and your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. And a new catcher for the Sox, Omar, is in. Wellington is out.
A lot of pitches to be caught, and Wellington gives way. Narvaez comes in.
So the rare circumstance where a pitcher throws to both catchers on the roster.
That doesn't happen very often.
Jose Altuve, who has become one of those guys who seemingly can just wand the ball wherever he wants at times.
The great ones always seem to do that. They flip it in front of the outfielders. They drop it in front of the infielders at times, and they always find a hole. And it seems like the better the guy is, the luckier he gets. I remember watching Tony Gwynn. It was just amazing. Watch Rod Carew. Watch those guys that were going to lead leagues in hitting. And they'd hit the ball off the end of the bat. It would find a hole. They'd hit it hard someplace. It would go through. But at the end of the year, it said 340 or above.
Left side, Tim, long throw. Altuve has a single.
See how lucky you get when you're really good? You hit one in the hole, nobody's standing there, and Altuve beats it out. No chance at all for Tim, who did the best he could, but not that time. So that's on base 4 times for Altuve with 2 hits and 2 walks. Tries to get as much as he can out of it, but no chance.
You mentioned Tony Gwynn, and we were talking about Sebi Zavala earlier. Sebi played for Tony Gwynn at San Diego State, and he's actually got a tattoo. The Sox minor leaguer in Double-A, the catcher, he's got a tattoo that commemorates Tony Gwynn. He was so fond of the man as a coach. As this does allow Omar to make the play. So 1 gone.
Well, all players know that the ball, for whatever reason, spins back toward the field of play. You got to stay with it. The ball is coming back to you regardless of which way the wind is blowing, and Omar, looking right up at you, makes the catch. Nice pictures.
It's like he's looking right into your living room.
That's Wynn Griffiths. He made an appearance earlier in the broadcast.
Great shot by Wynn. There's a reason they call him Wynn. And we'll find it out sometime. First one here outside.
I broadcast with Tony Gwynn.
You did?
Yeah, what a nice man he was. It was in the old Metrodome, and he sat in on one of those games, and it was a pleasure because you listen to him describe hitting. I mean, have you ever listened to Jim Thome describe hitting?
Oh, yeah.
I watched him do it on the MLB channel the other day. He
Omar's
just
got
is
another
master at it.
chance here.
Yeah, nope. A little bit too far that time, but Thome breaks it down exceptionally well. Tony Gwynn could explain exactly what he did on each and every pitch, and he would tell me, he said there were some at bats where he couldn't get the pitch that he was looking for, and he would wait 5 pitches deep. He would take a couple of strikes, take 3 balls, not swing at anything, waiting for the one pitch he knew he could handle, and if he got that one pitch, more times than not it was a base hit. But he didn't mind going down 2 strikes because he didn't think that anybody would strike him out when he wanted to get a base hit. And that was the confidence he had, to wait for the one pitch to hit. And the key, really, one of the keys to hitting is don't get yourself out on the pitcher's pitch. But a lot of young hitters are so anxious, they don't want to get down 2 strikes, that they swing at a pitch they can't handle. They put it in play because they have good hand-eye coordination, but just never hit it hard. And Tony Gwynn would wait, and finally he'd get one, and then he'd make the most of it.
I wish I could have seen him take batting practice, because from everything I've heard, he could basically plop a ball wherever he wanted.
Yeah, you could see him, and he would take around. He would hit everything to left field. Everything to left field. That's not unusual. Then he would take it and hit it to center field. Then he would try to pull around. And that's, a lot of guys will do that. Tony Gwynn was a master at it. I think it's Derek Fisher up now.
In for Reddick. And gone for Reddick. 2 down. So 2 out for Gurriel. 1:10 tomorrow, first pitch. Game will once again be on WGN. Hawk will be here with you. One and 0 on Gurriel. And that should do it for inning number 8. At least its top half. Avi is underneath. And we'll go bottom 8.
Xfinity. In the 5th inning, Trace Thompson goes the opposite way. The only run of the game so far. Reddick runs out of room. And first home run in his return to the White Sox. Brad Peacock comes in the game, and there you see for the 9th time, 1 out of 2 in save opportunities. He's a pretty good starter when he had the opportunity. Now he toils out of the bullpen, as that is a very crowded and very talented starting rotation. It's tough to break into it.
They have 7 or 8 guys in that bullpen who could be on the staff, I should say, who could be starters here in the majors.
Cullen McHugh, one of them. He had some huge years. Brad Peacock last year, 13-2 with a 3.0 ERA in 21 starts and 34 games. That's pretty good. It earns you a trip to the pen, son.
Yeah, and then he gets you the save in Game 3 of the World Series, 3 2/3. I mean, what a luxury to have.
Yep.
To have somebody who can extend like he did, former Washington National among others.
Well, Keem Soria loosening up at the pen. We talked about Cullen McHugh. All he did in 2015 was go 19-7. Year before, 2014, had 2.73 ERA in 25 starts. Then he went 13-10 in 33 starts in 2016. Hello, bullpen. That's where he resides these days. So they've got an embarrassment of riches in that starting rotation.
Peacock had some injury trouble back in 2014. It was the torn labrum in his right hip in October of 2014. He opened the next year on the DL. Dealt with one of those intercostal strains last year before getting healthy for the playoffs.
That's tough to get over.
You had one?
Well, yeah, when I was in Miami. I used to. Yeah, you saw that coming, didn't you?
3-2. Called strike 3. Might have been a situational strikeout.
This one's a touch wide, and Tim is none too happy. Yeah, when you go out 3 inches, maybe on the outside corner, that'll frost you a bit.
Well, Tim, he's been different at the plate in terms of his command of the zone, and when you feel like you've drawn a walk, especially when you've tried to transform.
No, he's got a much better eye these days, and he's not going out of the zone nearly as much as he did just even as recently as last year.
Well, in this series, we've seen some great young infielders on both sides, certainly. There's another one up in the majors now. Gleyber Torres, scheduled to be called up by the Yankees after being pulled from his AAA game. No formal announcement yet, but
Dub product in the Chapman deal.
on the ground, Altuve. Here's Abreu.
For the most part, Dallas Keuchel, who was brilliant tonight, kept the ball in the infield and on the ground, and Peacock's coming in and doing the same thing.
By the way, Marwin Gonzalez has moved to shortstop for the Astros. Springer has moved to left. Marisnik in center. Jake Marisnik, Derek Fisher into right. So those are your changes for the Astros. And as per the new collective bargaining agreement, if you've substituted in game, you must have your name over your head for an entire inning. for all the things you could have negotiated, you know?
You got to get something. Got 4 more days off, and that didn't work out real well, seeing as most of them are going to be stocked up with extra games that are rained or snowed out in the early going. This has been one of the most unusual early seasons I've ever seen. I think everybody feels the same way all around baseball. It's just been really tough.
All low, ball 4. It's 2-out walk. So down 10-1. Are you allowed to swing 3-0? Probably not, right?
Oh, sure, if you want to. I don't think your manager would be very happy, but yeah. The opposition doesn't care if you swing 3-0. They would just assume you swing 3-0.
Right, you need base runners.
No, I'm talking about, you know, if you're Brad Peacock, you'd
Right.
encourage him to swing 3-0.
Well, that's why your manager would be disappointed.
Yeah, just a little.
Omar batting for Castillo. Another low ball from Peacock. Only Nicky Delmonico left on the Sox bench tonight. Leori Garcia came in early in this game for Yohan Moncada as a defensive replacement. Seemed as though Ricky Renteria decided to make the change because of Moncada running to first, but we'll find out after the game. Two and one on Narvaez. Abreu at first. Sox run across on a Trace Thompson home run in the 5th. Peacock's mad at himself. 3-1.
At this point, you just want to say, look, I'll throw it down the middle, see how far you can hit it.
That's low, ball 4. Back-to-back walks with 2 out in the 8th. So Strom, the pitching coach, comes out for the Astros.
Fine left-handed pitcher in his day. Remember him with a big over-the-top curveball. Can you look him up on that little automated thing you have in front of you there that tells you everything you need to know about everything in the world?
Yes.
It's right there. It's glowing.
Here, let me. Well, this is a tablet.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
I have it all.
media
See,
guide.
I have it already, and you
Well,
are
look,
struggling there.
I'm not struggling.
I
was just
distracted
being
you.
harangued.
Okay, he was at San Diego, went 16-12 in 1976.
Brent Strom, you're talking about.
Yes, Cleveland 2-10, 1973. That was at a time when it wasn't fashionable to have an high ERA. But he did go 8-8 with San Diego with a 2.54 ERA, 1975. That was a very good year for him.
See, there's really not much of a difference between a media guide and a computer when you're getting information. One has pages, one doesn't.
Right. This was more quickly accessed. 210 innings Brett Strom pitched in 1976.
And I couldn't interrupt your train of thought.
No, I was deep into research.
2 balls and a strike to Matt, who walked back in the 6th. Tony Sipp, the left-hander, getting loose for the Astros. Only lefty in the bullpen.
Spent a lot of time with the Indians. At that point, he was one of the few lefties in the bullpen. That was pre-Andrew Miller.
Everything down from Peacock.
It's where you want a sinker ball to throw it, but you'd like him to raise it up a few inches and then let the boys swing away at it.
Leori Garcia on deck for his 3rd at bat. Three and 1 to Matt. To shortstop, a bobble. And Gonzalez does get it there to finish off the 8th inning. To the 9th we go. Run, Uber will make a donation to Chicago White Sox charities. Uber, the official rideshare provider of the Chicago White Sox and proud supporter of Chicago White Sox charities. Use Uber code GOSOX18 for $15 off your first Uber ride. Joaquim Soria checks into the game.
Bregman is going to be first man he faces, and relievers need an inning every now and then. That ball's hit hard.
To center field, Engel for out number 1. Gregory Infante tonight. 2 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Good sign up from Charlotte.
He threw it well.
Now McCann, who's 0 for 4 with a strikeout tonight, and takes strike number 1. Sox could really use a dominating performance from Reynaldo Lopez tomorrow. Not as though it's a dire situation,
Well,
but it would help the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo goes deep into every game, so there's no reason to assume that this would be any different, although he is facing a very hot and very talented Houston team.
This would be 5 out of 6 on the road trip for Houston, with a chance at a sweep tomorrow if they hold on. A.J. Hinch, former big league backstop in his Astros colors. Since 2015, the manager of this team.
Why do you think that catchers seem to make not only good managers, but so many former catchers are managers?
Well, I mean, you have to see. It's the only position where you really have to see both sides of the game. Truly, really see. I mean, and your health. I think there's another component. You hear that quite often, but there's another component that you are inherently a teacher. It's really the only spot on the diamond where you inherently are a counselor. Maybe teacher is the wrong word, but counselor. You've said before that you're part psychologist when you go out to talk to pitchers. Yeah. It's the aid on the field for another position. So I think there's just embedded in that a teaching component.
Well, the psychologist aspect comes when you're working with your pitcher, sometimes before the game, sometimes in a side session. If he's having some problems, you go out there and you have to convince him that the stuff is good. You don't have to make any adjustments at all. You just have to think about what you're doing with the stuff, and you're going to help him through this performance. And the catcher knows before you do how your stuff is. He's going to tell you. The hitters tell you first, but a catcher will tell you how the stuff is, and then steer you away from a pitch that may be your comfort pitch because he knows that night the pitch isn't good. Also, there's a school of thought that says because he's the only man allowed to set up in foul territory, it makes him very weird. Nobody else can do it.
That's true. Well, you could go without a catcher and have somebody else in foul territory, but
yeah, but then the umpire would be very unhappy.
yeah, you probably not get a lot of good calls. Strikes. Tim leaves it. Garcia catches it. And that is a very quick 9th inning for Joakim Soria. Bottom 9 coming next. Sox announced before the game that he was in stable but critical condition in the neurosurgical ICU unit after a brain aneurysm at the ballpark after he pitched in Game 1 last night. Ricky Renteria before the game told a neat story about the first time he met Danny Farquhar. Here it is.
You know, I told you guys a story when we first came over and we met him in Texas, and Koopy and I were just talking about it today. And he comes in, he says, you know, you were my favorite player growing up. And Koopy says, there you go, kissing the little, but, you know, he's a great kid, he's a good kid, hard worker. You know, when you look at him, he probably had to battle his whole career to do what he's doing, has a very good arm. He's a nice man with a beautiful wife and kids, and just a nice guy to have around.
He actually brought you the picture, right, of you and him
yes.
from FanFest or something?
Yes, he did. He brought that picture, and he was a little guy at the time, obviously. So no, it was, our introduction to each other was funny and yet you know, actually a little flattering. Sure.
Wonderful guy, Danny Farquhar, and there are the memories of Ricky Renteria of the first meeting, and we certainly wish the best for Danny and his family after what happened last night. You saw the jersey hanging up in the bullpen and in the dugout as well. The Sox are all tonight thinking about Danny Farquhar.
Tony Sipp in the ball game. Many times he's been the lone left-hander wherever he's gone, and now he's on for the 4th time. And normally he's around because he gets the ball over the plate, and he usually does not get hurt.
He is out of Pascagoula, Mississippi. Two and two from Tony Sipp. Called strike 3. Take on 2 strikes at your own peril late in the game.
Yeah, I would think that you probably want to be swinging. That one was close enough, however.
Yeah, that's not to say it wasn't a strike,
No.
but 10-1 score, 2 strikes.
Swing it.
1 down for Trace Thompson, who homered in the 5th for the lone Sox run tonight. Well, after these first 2 games, we're even for the 05 World Series, wouldn't you say?
Nope. They're never going to be even for that World Series, but they got their World Series last year. Get swept in the World Series. Just a little bit more significant than that 2-game sweep in April. Complete different cast of characters, however.
That is true. One. Trace takes in the dirt, 2 balls and a strike. Four in the first, 4 in the second for the Astros. Then 1 more in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th. And 10-1 in the 9th. A little bit low, 3-1. Reynaldo Lopez and Lance McCullers Jr. tomorrow. Game number 3, the scheduled starters, a 1:10 first pitch. Woo! There's Yolmer Sanchez, who's 1 for 3 on the day. He will hit right-handed against Sip. That's strike 3. Trace thought it was going to end up inside. Instead, it caught the middle of the zone, and 2 down.
There it is. Right there. Good pitch.
I think what we're learning is this Houston staff is loaded.
They're pretty good. The lineup is not too shabby, and they can play some defense with some speed. It's a very well-balanced team, and a team that should be around competitively for a long time.
2 down and a foul ball from Sanchez. Couple of ground ball outs tonight for Yolmer and a single to right. To third, Bregman can really play third base, and his jewel ends the ball game.
Just one of those nights where it was all Astros. What a great play to end it. Bregman off the line. Yolmer takes it down the line. Good backhand, shows you how strong his arm is, crossing into foul territory, and that, mercifully, is that.
Just did something very similar to that to Manny Machado about a week ago, and the Astros win 10-1. We will wrap it up for you when we come back.